if you're a negative vibration. It's kind of like the idea of inspiration. If you're not in a positive wavelength, when you're looking for a solution to something, if you're not in a positive wavelength, you're actually not capable of actually seeing opportunities and inspirations that could be right in front of your face. They won't be visible to you. But if you're of a positive wavelength, then you'll see them and you'll be able to act on them. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Well, sure. Anyone else have a question for me? Yeah. Yeah, for me. Because Bashar's not here anymore, so. Yeah, go to the mic, sure. The 5 laws are: you exist, everything is here and now, the one is all, the all are one. That's the 3rd one. What you put out is what you get back, and everything changes but the first 4 laws. Everything changes but the first 4 laws.
As I had confessed to Bashir,
Bashar.
Bashar. And by the way, who gave you that name, by the way?
This happened to me. I took a channeling class, not because I thought it was going to be a channel. I was just doing research into channeling. Mm-hmm. But it was a series of guided meditations. And in one of the meditations, what I describe as a telepathic hit came in, and a memory came back of having made an agreement to do this. I had a UFO sighting that led me up to it. I understood in that moment that the UFO was his ship shown to me to get me to start learning this stuff. And in that one moment, the word Bashar was there. Now, I thought it was his name. He explained later that in their society, they're telepathic, they don't need names. He knew we needed to call him something, and so that word was there. I have since understood that part of the reason that word was chosen is because it's an Arabic word. I don't speak Arabic, but part of my background is Arabic. And the word, even though it's not his name, is representative of what he does. I was actually told a couple of years after I started channeling that the word Bashar means messenger or bringer of good news in Arabic. So it's representative of what he's doing, even though it's not literally his name, but I had no idea what the word was. I just thought it was his name, but that's where it came from.
Sounds psychic, just pretty much everything I was about to ask you.
Okay.
Since you rolled over me with such a big tire, and when did you start doing this?
I've been doing this for 30 years.
Oh, you're a youngster.
I'm a youngster, yeah.
Oh, I see.
I've been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Is there something in your near future? Are you going to stay in the same venue? Have you gone through, say, I've been studying esoterics for over 40 years, and I found that I have gone through, say, like the tide goes in, it goes out. I find myself leaning one particular way, and then after another decade, I find out, well, maybe no, I needed to learn more along the way, and now
sure,
I'm someplace else.
There's a lot of that, but the information coming from him to me is extremely consistent and extremely simple in its description of how reality works. So I've just sort of found that as a human, while I may not always have been able on that path to always apply it as fully as I'd like, when I do, it works. So the more I apply it, the more practice I have in applying it, the better my life gets, and so I keep doing it. That's sort of how my path has gone.
I was going to go with the 5-year, where do you see yourself question. But
in 5 years, no clue.
I appreciate your honesty.
No idea. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Come on up. Hi.
This is very exciting.
Good.
Thank you for being here.
Sure.
It's weird seeing you in person because your video.
I know. I'm just supposed to be the telephone normally. Yeah.
And I will advocate saying that your DVD or your video, your movie. Thank you. Oh. Amazing. So it's such a good depiction of something you don't really understand very well. So
Thanks.
Thank you. I had just right now I realized how does it work with you and Bashar as far as, like, obviously you knew you were going to be here today. You knew that you were going to channel. Do you kind of like request, like, hey Bashar, do you mind coming? And like, is it kind of like that kind of a thing, or does he just know if you commit to channeling, you're doing it?
It's more like that. I have sometimes gotten a sense if somebody's asked me to do a channeling at a certain time.
Right.
On very rare occasions, I'll get it's not appropriate.
Okay.
And I'll say no. That almost never happens because also I think what people need to realize is time for him is not what it is for us. He's very flexible in space-time. Their civilization is very malleable with regard to how they relate to space and time. He may have already had this conversation. He may have yet to have this conversation. He just sends the information in one telepathic smack. It unfolds in time, in translation, as it needs to in our reality. So the conversation for him may have been done, and I'm on to other stuff. And then it just comes through my brain and my body at the pace that it has to come.
Which is like right now there's 30 minutes left, but it's not like he doesn't need that extra time. He got whatever is needed to be done.
He sensed that you got what you needed at this particular moment. Yeah. And that he would let that information sink in, and he'll give more information at another time.
Okay. Do you know the moment or the time period when a soul enters the body? I'm pregnant, so of course it's a question I want to ask. But like, when does it? Is it when they are born, or is it before?
Bashar has talked about the idea of the soul connection to the fetus, and he has basically said that the only real definitive demarcation that could be used might be the idea of 49 days. 49 days is when the pineal gland can actually express the idea of the soul. Before that, it cannot.
Okay.
So he has said if you want a demarcation, you can use that. But he also at the same time really says when you stop and really understand how reality is, the idea that the soul is in the body is a perspective of physical reality. From his perspective, it's actually more like the body is in the soul. Because the soul is a higher being generating a focus that we call physical reality. So in a sense, the soul is always there. But in terms of its ability to express itself through a physical person the way it usually does, it
like
takes
awareness of being in a body or
awareness of self and things like that. It usually takes 49 days for the pineal gland to form, which is the seat of consciousness expression in the brain. And therefore, he's saying 49 days is kind of the demarcation line for what we would think of as the true connection. However, he's also said that up to 3 years old, speaking normally, the spirit can come and go. It's not locked into the body. And that's sometimes why you experience crib death, things like that. Because the soul goes, I'm only sticking my toe in the water. I don't need to be here that long. And so it takes advantage of the fact that it's not actually completely yet acclimatized to the physical reality. And if it only needs to experience a year,
that's what it is.
That's
like
what experience
I'm sure
is.
you're familiar with Anelia Benz, and I think she said in one of her talks that she had to be kind of like coerced, I guess, or like her mom had maybe an abortion a couple times, and she still was like hell bent on coming. And obviously, she's a very strong, amazing soul. But there was like there's a lot of stories where the soul's like, no, I don't want to come in, so they're not really connected to the.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think the idea is to really sort of lighten up on the whole idea that the timing of all those things is done by agreement and arrangement, and a soul will know if a fetus is not going to come to term for one reason or another, because again, that's all the experience it needs, or it's doing that for the mother for some reason, you know, and it's willing to play along. From the soul perspective, the soul knows that we're eternal, infinite beings. So it's not like anything is really being destroyed. It's not like the being is not still there. It's not like the being can't come back again. It's, there's all these different agreements, arrangements, things that happen. And what people get out of those experiences is usually what the purpose of having the experience happen that way was for.
Totally makes sense. And my last question, how do you handle, or better, I guess I forget how to word it, handle, having a partner who's not as awakened as you are and kind of doesn't understand you awakening and makes you sometimes feel like you're a little weird? Like my husband's just like, he's just a normal guy, great guy, awesome guy.
That's fine.
But this is woohoo, no. Like,
well,
how do I...
I'll put it this way. People don't have to be metaphysical to be living their life purpose. They don't have to know anything about metaphysics to be on their path. If that's the way that makes them happy, then that's their path. I'm going to share a story if I can. My wife has a story about with her sister that, at a certain point you want to share the idea of the metaphysics you're discovering with your family and stuff. And like what you're saying about, the sister was, literally at one point in the conversation, it was almost like the higher self of the sister suddenly appeared in the body. And it's like, don't you understand? I can't know this now. And backed away. And it was like, okay, your timing is your timing. Your purpose is your purpose. You can't force that on a soul if that's not its path.
Got it.
So, yes, it's great to share it with people. Yes, if you find that there is a true vibrational incompatibility there, if you're not being allowed to be who you are, then you may have to think, well, okay, maybe this person doesn't, belong in my life. But if it's just a matter of somebody doing something differently, but they're still in the relationship for what Bashar describes as the purpose of all relationships, which is every person is in the relationship to reflect to one another what the other person needs to know to become more of themselves. So as long as you're supporting yourselves in that way, he doesn't have to know squat about metaphysics to still be doing what he needs to do for you and for you to be getting out of the relationship.
And he's growing. It's a very slow pace. Like I can say what you said. I just can't say, oh, it's channeled, or that's
well, that's
all
okay.
weird.
I mean, look what happens in corporate industries. You can go now on a self-discovery weekend, or you can have like an efficiency group. It's meditation. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter. It's just using the language that people can key into, because many people are doing many metaphysical things. They just don't call them that.
And I think many of it's becoming more mainstream. So as it does, more and more people will become integrated.
Sure,
Thank you
absolutely.
for everything you do.
And this is one of the things, right now what we're working on, we're in the middle of editing, is we're actually doing a Bashar documentary. And the documentary is also about how I became a channel, but it's mostly also about demystifying things like that, because everyone does channel. It's a natural altered state. One of the things that I'm really excited about that we did in the documentary, which is called First Contact, is I went into the channeling state with my head wired to an EEG machine. We wanted to see what's happening in the brain during a channeling. We got some incredibly profound differences between my normal waking state and the channeling state. So it doesn't prove that Bashar is real, but what it does scientifically demonstrate is the channeling state is natural. It is representative of the kind of peak performance state that we all get into when we're doing something we love to do. It's a profoundly different state than your normal state. You have a higher capacity to synthesize and produce information. And that just demonstrates that the channeling state is real. So there's hard scientific evidence that the state is real. Nobody has to believe that Bashar is real to take advantage of the fact that the state is real and can deliver interesting things.
And you say that all the time. Like, who cares about that? Just listen to the message.
I can't prove that Bashar is real. That's not the point of the channeling. The point is the information. If the information works for you, use it. If it doesn't, you'll find what you need somewhere else. I have no doubt.
Thank you. Thank you for being bold enough to share your truth. I appreciate it.
I just had, I guess, a capacity for not caring if anyone thought I was crazy.
I'm working on that. Thank you.
So that's kind of what it takes. How are we doing on time? 15 minutes? Yeah. You want to come up? You. Yeah, I'm pointing at you. Yeah, you. You there. That's okay. Yeah.
So with the role that you're in channeling Bashar, what is your understanding of why that's coming through at this time?
I would think that's kind of obvious.
Well,
we're all exploring these kinds of things now.
So we're exploring this now, and I guess there's this belief that we're, as humanity, undergoing a transformation.
Sure. Well, that sends out a signal.
Okay.
It sends out an invitation for anything of like mind, like vibration. So in a sense, Bashar is saying, I'm answering an invitation that you sent. You want to know these things. You want to interact with beings like us.
Through all this, why can't
because you can't experience the process of creation anywhere but in space and time.
Okay.
I don't know if Bashar covered this, but the idea is that physical reality experience, you can accelerate your growth very rapidly because you're actually creating a challenge that forces you to stretch. Bashar kind of describes this as, he calls this the watermelon seed theory. You know, if you take a watermelon seed and you squeeze it between your fingers, if you squeeze hard enough, the seed can't go up, it can't go down. It's got to spit out in a new direction.
Yeah.
So the idea from Bashar's perspective is there is such a thing as positive resistance, positive creative pressure. And by putting ourselves in a physical pressure cooker, we are forcing ourselves to look at things from a new perspective and to leap in directions that we might otherwise not have gone in. I mean, if somebody had told me even 29, or 31 years ago, I'd be a channel for the next 30 years, I would have thought they were crazy. Mm-hmm. But just by following the events that happened in my life and acting on my excitement, this is what happened. So there have been great challenges in it, and especially just for the idea of getting out of my own way, learning how to balance my own emotionality, letting go of issues that have nothing to do with me anymore, not taking things personally. All of that has been challenging. But the point of going into this is it's not just about delivering information to others, it's also about learning who I am. So It works both ways. So really the simple answer is, this is sort of all happening, and I'm really glad other people can take advantage of it. But the only reason I'm doing this is because this excites me. Mm-hmm. And as Bashar has said, there's no such thing as a one-sided coin. If you have the head, the tail has to be there. So if you have a gift to give, there will be people who want to receive that gift. Mm-hmm. If there were no people to receive that gift, you wouldn't be excited about doing that thing. So I just learned that just by being excited about doing this, there would be people who would also benefit from it besides myself. So it's just a natural result of acting on my excitement. It's not like I started out thinking it's like you have to deliver information to the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's what happened because it's just a natural result of me acting on my excitement.
I mean, obviously we all want to be here. We all want to be doing this and having this experience.
Yeah.
And maybe for me, what would be helpful is, I guess, because sometimes I wish I could just, you
is
talk
this
about
another way of
slips.
saying that there's something you want to do that you're hesitating to do?
I don't know if I want to have this experience anymore sometimes.
What experience?
The
physical experience?
Life, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to give you the same test that Bashar has given other people. Lie down.
Lie down?
Lie down.
Well, you're gonna like step on me.
No, I'm not. Lie down. Okay. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes and relax. Okay. Now, say out loud, I'm ready to leave.
I'm ready to leave.
Now, count to 10 in your head. And after you've counted to 10, if you can open your eyes, open them. If you had been ready to leave, you would have left. It's that simple. The idea really is our timing is chosen for our own reasons. So if you haven't left, you want to be here, you just don't know why yet. So you just need to find out why. And that is easily found out, more easily found out, when you just keep acting on your highest joy every moment without any worry about where it's leading you. You will discover why you're here. So if you were ready to leave, you'd be gone. I guarantee it. Yeah. Okay? So we're all glad you're here. Cal.